When the Duchess of Ratchetness can't get her way, she runs to White Zaddy.
Now available in paperback and e-readers, Spellbound, A Darker Shade of Black. Get your copy today at your favorite online bookseller.
The Duchess of Ratchetness, Meghan Markle, decided to express her concerns about racism within the royal family to King Charles III in 2021. Now, back in 2021, when King Charles was still Prince Charles, Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Ratchetness, after doing an interview with Prince Harry, with Oprah Winfrey, making claims about racism in the royal family, decided to write a letter to Prince Charles in an effort to make her concerns about racism in the royal family official. Now, the Duchess of Ratchetness, Meghan Markle, in her letter alleged that there was a royal who had been participating in racism and was concerned about the color of their unborn son's skin, Archie, and put all of this in a letter expressing her concerns about racism in the royal family to King Charles in an effort that he would be able to do something about it. Now, after receiving this letter from the Duchess of Ratchetness, Meghan Markle, King Charles, then, who was Prince of Wales, wrote back to the Duchess of Ratchetness expressing his deep concern and disappointment about the allegations and expressed that he was let down by his son and daughter more than he would care to say. And in that response letter, Meghan Markle did identify about the individual who made these claims, but overall, Prince Charles, who is now King Charles, is not looking to take any action at all. And the reason why King Charles possibly didn't want to take any action at all is because he is the head of the first family of white supremacy. And as the head of the first family of white supremacy, King Charles has no interest in looking to deal with an alleged racist who is a part of the royal family because he possibly himself has the exact same concerns as that individual, because the goal of preserving white hegemony is something that is essential to the overall institution of the royal family. Because the royal family, being the first family of white supremacy, its ultimate goal is preserving white hegemony, and white hegemony is meaning maintaining the institution of whiteness through genetics, and this is more important to the first family of white supremacy than dealing with the Duchess of Ratchetness, Meghan Markle's claims of racism. Now, Meghan Markle basically was out here trying to express these concerns, believing that she could get some sort of satisfaction, but there would be no satisfaction for her to receive, being a biracial black woman and a biracial black woman who was married into the first family of white supremacy. No, her being a biracial black woman just meant that she was a black woman to the first family of white supremacy, and in the first family of white supremacy, they are not interested in hearing the concerns or claims about racism in their family because their family's ultimate goal is white supremacy. So Meghan Markle was basically wasting her time, and this whole incident basically showed that Meghan Markle, even though she was a so-called Duchess on paper, was no different than a house slave in the master slave plantation, because her attempts at making this attempt to write a letter to the prince are the same efforts that an educated house slave would do by writing a letter to the slave master. And that's basically what Meghan Markle's letter was looking like to Prince Charles at the time. It was looking to him like one of these house slaves was out here looking to write about concerns. And again, those concerns made it look like this so-called princess was no different than the house slave, getting uppity as related to looking to push back on the unwritten social rules of white supremacy, and looking to try to go out here and trying to get a response from the prince But the only response she got was the same thing that the house slaves used to get whenever they would go out here and try to go over the heads of the chain of command inside of the slave plantation system. And the slave plantation system and the royal system basically are the same because they're the same infrastructure of white supremacy. And with them both being the same infrastructure of white supremacy, you're going to get the exact same results. And this is the thing that shocks and baffles the Duchess of Ratchetness, Meghan Markle. And it only shocks and baffles her in the same way it used to shock and baffle the house slave, because the house slave thought, oh, they were a part of the house, but they were never really a part of the institution of white supremacy. No, while they were allowed to serve in the institution, they were not allowed to be a part of the institution. And again, serving and being a part of it are two different things. Prince Harry is born into the system of white supremacy and has a connection to it through royalty, but the Duchess of Ratchetness, Meghan Markle, is just another servant of white supremacy, one of these biracial black women who wants to pass as white and receive the benefits of a white woman. But whenever the institution of white supremacy shows her she is black, then she wants to go out here and hope to try to get her issues rectified by these individuals in the system of white supremacy, like Prince Charles. However, those individuals have no interest in going out here and helping her because she already compromised with the system of white supremacy, and she wanted to pass as white, but only when she's told how black she is. That's when she wants to go out here and try to leapfrog over the chain of command she wanted to be a part of. Because when the Duchess of Ratchetness, Meghan Markle, wanted to be a part of the royal family, she thought that she could go out here and pass as white. She thought she could receive the benefits of being a white woman. But when these racists who are a part of the institution of white supremacy show her how black she is, that's when she doesn't want to go along to get along with the system of white supremacy, and she wants to call herself going over the heads of all of those in that institution. And what King Charles, the king of white supremacy and Lord of Lords of white men, the king of king and Lord of Lords of white men, what he did was let Meghan Markle know what her place is inside of the system of white supremacy. And this is, again, the reward that Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Ratchetness, has received as related to her ratchet scheme to try to pass into the first family of white supremacy. As she has tried to pass into the family of white supremacy, the white supremacist at the top, the king of king and Lord of Lords of white men, has let the Duchess of Ratchetness know what color she is and how she will not get over in the hierarchy of white supremacy because they are not really concerned about her issues as related to racism. No, they are not concerned at all because the first family of white supremacy's only concern is maintaining the institution of white supremacy, and as related to the royal bloodline, their main goal is white hegemony, and now that they've gotten their heirs from Prince William, they could care less about Archie or any member of Prince Harry's family, because these are not going to be part of the heirs of the bloodline, which means white hegemony has been secured. But Meghan Markle still thinks she can express grievances back in 2021 as she tried to embarrass the royal family by saying how racist it was. But we always knew that the royal family was racist and white supremacist. It was always an institution of white supremacy, with the king being the king of king and Lord of Lords of white men, and being the one that continued to perpetuate and promote the system of white supremacy. They have no interest in the words of a biracial black woman, and that biracial black woman to them is no different than a house slave, because many of the house slaves were biracial, and they were basically the slave master's daughters as related to his bloodline, but he still treated them like servants because they were the blood of servants. So to the king, or the prince at the time, this was not a concern to him. He was, again, just disappointed about them making these allegations because this was airing dirty laundry. Basically, the Duchess of Ratchetness reaching into the hamper, pulling out the prince's skid mark jockey drawers, and showing everybody that there was a big brown line in the back of his tighty-whities as related to this whole situation. This is what the Duchess of Ratchetness was trying to do. And again, she basically, if she was being treated like everybody else in the royal family, she wouldn't have a problem with that racism if they were calling only the dark-skinned black people who worked in the palace all sorts of names. Meghan Markle would basically pass all of it by because she was looking to pass in that system, but because she was receiving the same racism like the house slave used to do, this is why the Duchess of Ratchetness was upset as related to this whole situation. And this is why I have no sympathy for the Duchess of Ratchetness, Meghan Markle. Because basically what she wanted to do was go to the zaddy of zaddies of white men, the king of kings and lord of lords of white men, hoping to make the people stop being racist towards her, but she didn't want to stand up for any other black people as related to racism in the royal family. No, she was not advocating and looking to stand for any other black person. No, she just wanted to be the special house slave who got all of the benefits. She wanted to be the one who got everything as related to being the number one black person, and she wanted to pass into the royal family to be a part of the first family of white supremacy. But when she started to receive the same treatment as any other black person, that's when the Duchess of Ratchetness wanted to go out here and talk about how black she was, even though she never claimed that she was black when she was in Hollywood in America. She never claimed she was black when she was out here dealing with Prince Harry. She never wanted to be black or support black people, but whenever the racism comes to her, now she wants to be black. But that doesn't work, again, because it's just another case of a house slave running to the zaddy of zaddies, the king of kings and lord of lords of white men, showing us how ratchet the Duchess of Ratchetness is, and how she's only out for herself and is nothing more than a mercenary looking to try to play these games with race, because that's just unethical as I see it. Because if you're going to stand for black people, then you stand for all of us, not just for yourself. And that's what Meghan Markle doesn't understand about things that make people look at her and not take her seriously. You want to go out here and be black when you want to be, but when white supremacy is after you, but when white supremacy is allowing you to assimilate in, you don't want to be black at all. Again, just completely ratchet behavior from another one of these biracial blacks who have run all sorts of game. And again, she's all cool with the king of kings and lord of lords of white men. And when she's out here as a duchess, but when she's out here having to deal with racism, she doesn't want to go out here and stand up for the overall racism that's done to all black people. It's only when it's done to her that she has a problem with. And again, she was upset because things didn't go her way. And again, showing us all that the Duchess of Ratchetness is a ratchet, and this ratchet is a part of the royal family, shows us that the royal family, being the first family of white supremacy, is no different than what we saw happen in the slave plantations during those days in the antebellum South. Now, if you want to pick up some of my positive black fiction on the SJS Direct imprint, you can find the books of the SJS Direct universe, such as the ISIS series, the E-Steam series, the John Haynes series, and the books of the Spinsterella trilogy on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find those books at other online booksellers like Smashwords, the iBookstore, and Google Play. And I'd like to believe that Meghan Markle needs to read one of my books, Spellbound, A Darker Shade of Black, to find out about what she's trying to do, which is trying to fit into the black box that's acceptable to white people, and she's not fitting into that box because the King of Kings and Lord of Lords of White Men does not want her in that box at all. And you can find that book Spellbound on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format, and you can find it at other online booksellers like Smashwords, the iBookstore, and Google Play. And if you'd like to see me make more videos taking the royal family to the barbecue, you can send a donation to the PayPal, the Patreon, or the Cash App, and if you request a video, I'll make it speedily. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.
Coming to paperback and e-readers, John Haynes, 1987. Learn lessons about life and teenage love in the 1980s with this coming-of-age John Haynes story. Pre-order your copy of John Haynes, 1987 at online booksellers everywhere. Now available in paperback and e-readers, John Haynes, Godbreaker. The man who rules the world takes on the Asgardian god of thunder in this action-packed, all-new John Haynes series adventure. Get your copy of John Haynes, Godbreaker in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers everywhere.
Now available for free on Google Play and Smashwords. The Retreat by Lawrence Cherry. If you want to advance in your faith in God, sometimes you have to retreat. Get The Retreat for free on Smashwords and Google Play today.